Welcome to the Iron Chapel. This is episode 1, not the pilot, and we're gonna get started with today's workout. I'll go over that in a second. I promised the podcast that I was gonna start live streaming. So let me set this really quick. Let me just hit go on the live stream. 3, 2, 1, and okay, looks like we're live on TikTok. So exciting. All right. Oh, sorry, TikTok. I don't know how long that battery is gonna last. I was gonna plug it in, but I don't think this will actually work. Yeah, there's not enough room. So if it dies, sorry. I at least tried. I fulfilled my commitment to go live. Even if it doesn't make it the whole time, I need to make sure my battery is charged. I've been up since 11:30 yesterday. So I've been on my phone and it's not charged. So, okay, let's get into this. This is episode 1 of the Iron Chapel. If you saw the pilot episode yesterday, episode 0, you have a little bit of an idea, though I do have an update, but we'll get in that after the first couple of, the first set or so. Okay, day 2 of the workout. It's pull day. We're gonna do back, rear delts, and biceps. So we got 5 workouts, all pretty much dumbbell workouts. So we got bent over dumbbell rows, 4 sets, 10 reps. Single arm dumbbell rows, we have 4 sets, 10 to 12 reps. And we have easy bar bicep curls, 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. Dumbbell bicep curls, 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. And then Arnold cars. I think that's supposed to be curls. I don't think there's something called Arnold car. Arnold curls, 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps. And then today's quote for 2 reasons, that didn't really work. 2 reasons is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Reason number 1, we're doing Arnold curls. Reason number 2, it's about sleeping less, and I've been up all night. So here we go. The day is 24 hours. 6 hours we sleep, so you have left 18 hours. So don't give me this, I'm working 12 hours so I don't have time to exercise and to work out. Or I don't have time to study another language and all these kinds of things. 18 hours. So utilize the 18 hours. That's what I've always believed in. And I feel like that's the only way you can get ahead. Arnold Schwarzenegger. A little bit of a long one, but it fit with today's workout. And what I love is when he gives this quote like live in a talk, he'll say like, you sleep 6 hours, and if he sees people respond, then he'll be like, well, you need more than 6 hours of sleep? He's like, then sleep faster. Which I think is hilarious. So let's get into this. If you're watching live, feel free to comment or ask questions. I will check in occasionally. Feel free to make fun of my form because I don't know. I'm 6'7" and awkward, and I'm still working on my form like 5 years later. Okay, so first off is bent over dumbbell rows, 4 sets, 10 reps. I didn't think about it. I'm gonna have to do more than 10 reps, just like yesterday, because again, I still, until I get some better weights, the highest I have is the 35s. So we'll just kind of do those. We'll play those by ear. It says 10 reps. We'll see. But 4 sets, bent over dumbbell rows. Let's go. All right, 35s. Here we go. There's 10. We're over 15. And 15. All right, we'll probably do 20 for the next 3. So we get started with that. Try and keep my back straight. And yeah. I'm already getting warm in here. I was in here earlier working, I had the heater on. I've let it kind of air out, but it's still, didn't turn our music on. Let's get our music going. Get our little lo-fi, hip-hop, jazz, whatever, copyright-free music going. Okay, we'll do one more set and then I'll talk about what we're doing today. For the chapel part, rather. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I'm in frame on both of these cameras now. Twice as much work. Okay, let's go for 20. Keep back straight. 15. And 20. Okay, so normally I would be doing these with like 60s, 70s, but I'd be chest supported, I'd be leaned over. So I don't have the dumbbells, I don't have that much weight. I wouldn't be doing 20 of them. 70 is pushing it, but I've done 70 the last few times. So we'll just do the 35s, make it work. Like I said, so tomorrow, today's Tuesday, so 2 days is Christmas. I'm hoping to get some heavier weights, and if not, I have to start slowly buying some because I stopped using all this back in New York, and 35 was like pretty heavy for most of what I was doing. Okay, real quick, we are going to be doing, I know we did a whole episode 0 yesterday. I talked about how we're going to be going through the book of Nehemiah. We're not. I don't know if you watched back the pilot, I was kind of struggling to even really get up the interest and talk about Nehemiah. It's not what I do. So I was thinking about it, I was like, why was I struggling so much? Why do I even going through it? I want to go through the Bible a little more chronologically. But I don't want to start in Genesis because I just taught for 2 years through Genesis. So we're going to start with Matthew, which is more in Genesis, more in Old Testament anyways. So we'll do Matthew, then we'll do Genesis, and then we'll do Luke, Exodus, we'll kind of go that way, and then we'll throw Psalms and Proverbs in with, like a Gideon Bible, we'll throw that in with the New Testament. Oh, my friends are going me. So, okay, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's do this next set. Okay. We'll keep it at 20. $15. 20. Okay. All right. So, Book of Matthew. First book of the New Testament. A lot of interesting stuff with Matthew. In fact, where are my notes? Let me get these pulled out. First book, New Testament. Today will just kind of be an introduction. I won't get into it probably into the actual scriptures. We'll do more of an introduction. But yeah, it's first book of the New Testament. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John are the first 4 books. Matthew, Mark, and Luke are called the Synoptic Gospels. John doesn't get to be part of that club because his is, I guess, a little too different. Doesn't quite classify or qualify as the same. So, I gotta get back to the beginning of my notes because I'm at the end. There's been a break about 300 years, 400 years? I think 300 years from the Old Testament. I guess I could use the appendix. I grew up, a lot of people call it the silent years. And I grew up thinking like there was literally like no historical record. That's not true. It was silent only from the Bible's perspective. There's plenty of history. Got the story of the Maccabees, all the stuff the Maccabees did, and the revolt and all that kind of stuff there after the desecration of the temple. So a lot of stuff there. So let's finish this off, and then I got my notes queued up, and we can jump into the notes. Like I said, today will be an introduction, so we won't actually get into like Matthew 1 until tomorrow. So let's go for 20 again. Okay. All right, it's getting hot in here. I gotta take my sweatshirt off. All right, TikTok. Hold on a second. Gotta change. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Book of Matthew. See what else? Let's go through a couple things in between. Take a little bit of rest. So we did that. Let's mark that off really quick. Front over. Dumbbell rows. Done. Next will be single arm dumbbell rows. 4 sets. 10 to 12. All right, Gospel of Matthew. So one question you can ask is, from the Old to New Testament, is the canon complete? Well, we leave the Old Testament. We got unexplained ceremonies, unachieved purposes, unappeased longings, unfulfilled prophecies. There's still actually over 7,000 prophecies, obviously a bunch about Jesus, that haven't been done yet. John 5:3-9 is kind of the key. It says, search the scriptures, for in them ye, it's old, this is King James, ye think ye have eternal life. For in them ye think ye have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. So historical books, there's 5. We got the Gospels, there's the 4 Gospels plus Acts. So 5 if you count that as a gospel. Some do, some don't. Interpretive letters, there's 21. Paul's epistles, 14 with the asterisks there. If you know, you know. Hebrew Christian epistles, 7. And we have obviously Revelation. So what else do we want to go into? Oh, there's this cool thing where there was a scholar, scientist, I don't know what you call him, but he got permission to take they had some scrolls that were rolled up, and they were too fragile because they're like, oh, these might be from like original copies from the days these were actually written, like the original copies they wrote, and they were too fragile and roll. But he got permission to use, not a microscope obviously, but something like that, and was able to scan and like to such detail that they could tell like how far off the page the ink stood, how much pressure was used, what the angle was. They could authenticate it really well, basically. And they basically determined that it was either the original document or one of the first copies. So they're all, basically the point of the New Testament documents is they were written firsthand. These are firsthand accounts. So some people who will try to discredit the Bible and stuff and say they were in, way later, years later. But they weren't. Hey, what proof do you have? I just gave it to you. I just told you. Okay, so we'll get back more on that in a minute. Single arm dumbbell rows, 4 sets. 10 to 12? Okay. All right, so basically similar to what we just did, but I normally brace on this. I don't have the incline bench yet, so we'll, this might be a little awkward. Oh, I know. We'll use the chair. We shall use the chair, and you guys get to see the one, the only potato chip rock. All right. So I said 10 to 12. Okay. I might have to do 15 on these as well, just because of the lighter weight. Let's keep going. 15, let's keep going. And 20. Okay, switch arms. I'm running out of room over here with these weights in the way. Okay. Is it really in the way? There we go. 1. 15, so 5 more. 20. All right. 20. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so that's kind of cool about the entire Bible. I'll talk for a little bit how it's like it's an integrated design. So what I mean by that is if you actually study the Bible, so there's so much criticism like about the Bible, right? It's full of contradictions. There's all these errors. Wasn't written by, who they say, like Daniel, is it chapter 9? They try to say there's no way that was actually written by Daniel. That was written how many years later? John was actually a different John, not the beloved apostle. There's all these criticisms, critiques and stuff of the Bible. A lot of theories and even conspiracy theories about the New Testament specifically. But there's like a fail-safe built in. It's almost as if God knew. People would try to say, yeah, it's not real. It's, whatever. So 66 different books written by over 40 authors, I believe, 40 something, whatever. But there's all these authenticated pieces throughout it that makes it really obvious. It's like God's signature. Or let's back up for a second. Hold on. Dehydrated. Let's back up. Say a designer, right? A designer's signature of someone who had to have been outside of time and outside of kind of our dimension, as it were, to actually write this stuff and come up with it. Because there's so many things that if you can have the faith to come up with the idea that they are coincidences or other conspiracy theories other than there is a creator, an author outside of our dimension and time, then those theories, you have more faith than I do. My faith in a intelligent creator takes a certain amount of faith, but your faith, whether it's an atheist or whatever other version is, like you have more faith than I do. And I'm actually like I'm basing mine a little more on logic. Like I can prove to you as much as you can prove anything in this reality, right? Um, with facts and logical about the Bible. And so a lot of, if you actually compare, not again, and I know Christians get a bad rap because there's just so many idiots who have claimed to be Christians or been Christians but just never actually studied what they know. But when you actually really dive in and really study it, you compare it against, atheism, evolution, any of these different things. There's actually, it's way more science, archaeology, all the different evidence, logic, biology, science. Excuse me, guys. All these things, it's much more logical. At the end of the day, sorry, I said I've been up all night. I got like a tickle in my throat. I just need to clear my throat, I guess. If you look down, you really compare them. Obviously, neither theory. I need to take a break. We'll come back to this. Let's do some more sets. I can't talk right now. So here we go. This is set 2 of 4. And we're doing, I think I did 20. Well, that was weird. I I got sick and had to run to the bathroom. So we are not live back on TikTok yet. I'm gonna give myself a second because I was live and I literally was about to throw up. Sorry, I wasn't gonna say that on the video. And I'm just trying to talk. I started getting a little itch in my throat. Try to clear my throat. And I started coughing. I was trying to talk. I couldn't. Drink a bunch of water. I was like, oh, let me do a set. And then the itch in my throat was causing me to need to cough, and the cough was triggering a gag reflex. So I really quick shut off the live stream, ran to the bathroom, took care of business. And yeah, I wonder, I think it's interesting that I've been hesitating to go live during these workouts, and I finally did, and then I threw up. I wonder if, I don't think there's a correlation, but you never know. I feel like that was just like a physical in my throat. Sorry, I was trying to block the mic, but that made it look like I was shouting. So that was weird, and I'll have to, analyze that later. So, but one thing I noticed though that I was struggling with is once I went live, I was struggling. I went back. You can already hear how I'm talking differently. Like for some reason, I went back to like the fake voice, and I was like doing lecture mode, and I was even at one point standing like I was preaching. Like, what the heck? Why did I get so unnatural? So I guess this is going to take practice, and I think I need to not be looking at my notes. I need to just I can only teach what I have memorized, with rare exceptions. Like I do have to reference this chart here in a minute. So I'm going to go live again and really focus on not getting in my head and just being being real. I don't know. Something I gotta work on. Oh, something I did want to say with the whole, I was going to do Gideon. I want to point out 2 things. One, so Gary Vee actually recorded his first episode. I talked on the episode 0 about this being like wine library, right? He recorded his entire first episode on a camera they had. Didn't like it because it was like the quality was like crap. Went and bought a better camera and re-recorded the entire episode. So he redid his first episode. And then Full House, famously, they shot the pilot with one actor and then didn't like it. Spent $1 million to reshoot the pilot with a new actor. Danny became Bob Saget. So I kind of felt like last night, or technically, I think it was last night, when I was really like thinking about this and kind of praying about it. I feel like I just want to teach through the Bible, starting at Matthew and, New Testament, Old Testament, New Testament, Old Testament. And other than going back and forth, I want to teach them in parallel, in chronological order. I thought of those two things, how he redid his first episode. Because I'm like, I already did the pilot. Do I not put the pilot out when I talk about Nehemiah? I'm like, no, I'll leave it. It's episode 0. I did that on purpose. And that was the pilot. And there's 2 stories that I still have something in my throat. It's not that tickling anymore. So let's get this live going again. We got to overcome this mental barrier of whatever's going on with live. All right. Back. Sorry, guys. How do I put it delicately? I do evacuate my internals. No, I started choking. I still have something in my throat. I started choking. I've already recorded. I've marcoed several buddies today, and I recorded a podcast already. Some reason I start talking, I'm struggling to talk. So anyways, I don't know. I'm like cooled down now, so that kind of sucks, but had to run the bathroom, and well, let's just say that coughing was triggering a gag reflex, and the gag reflex went all the way. I didn't think you'd appreciate it on camera. That's why I ran over the camera really quick. I was like holding my breath to stop that. And anyways, you don't need to hear about that. So let's get back into this single arm dumbbell rows. I think I did 1. I think I was starting set 2. We'll get back to that stuff in a minute. So here we go. Set 2. We're doing 20. I think I just probably need to move this forward is probably what my problem is. It gives me more room. Okay, here we go. 20 with the 35 because it's the most weight that I have. $15. Slow it down a little bit. And 20. Okay. Other side. I'd forgotten to start my workout, so that was one good thing about that. Probably should turn that a little bit. You can see it's a little off. It's probably a little bit better. Now, for those of you watching live on TikTok, I'm also recording this it's an actual show I do, or I just started. And the higher quality 4K version will go out on Substack, YouTube, Facebook. Clips will probably be on TikTok. So if you want to see the higher quality version, go check those out. If you're watching this on those, you want to be live and be able to interact and comment, go follow me on TikTok. So and 20. Just take a quick drink. I apologize a little clear in the throat. I don't know what's going on today. Take a quick drink, go right in the next one. Use that to try to get me warmed back up, using those 2 in succession. Okay. Here we go. And this will be it. 20 either side. And then we'll move on to biceps. 20. Okay, other side. Let's go right into it. Here we go. And 20. Okay. Whew. Okay. That was aerobic. Got my heart rate back up. Okay, so there we go. That's done. Single arm, dumbbell, rows, 4 sets, 10 to 12. Well, I did 15. So next will be easy bar, bicep curl. So I can put this back. Bye bye rock. You're terrifying. My son got that for me for Christmas, I think 2 years ago. As you can see, I like the rock. I got a poster over there too, but you can't see that. Okay, let's put these back. Okay. I need to get a rack. I'm hoping I get a rack. I got a rack for Christmas, so we'll mess with those later. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, just it's my opinion. If you compare the two, and you're trying to get as comprehensible proof, like I don't think we can truly prove really any of it. There is an element of faith to any of it. I mean, technically, I'm having to have faith that my name is Jared, and my parents didn't name me something else, and at some point changed my name and just never told me. Same thing you say about birth. It's pretty obvious. I look like my dad, but you know. So as much as you can know anything to that standard, I feel like there's more evidence just studying the design of the Bible. And it's funny because that's a lot of times is what people will knock. So really quick, let's do an imaginary experiment. Let's say I give you an assignment, okay? And you're, for whatever reason, you say you actually want to do it. I tell you that you're going to write a genealogy, okay? Now, book of Matthew, if you don't know, starts with a genealogy of Jesus. A bunch of names of so-and-so begot so-and-so, blah, 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 all the way down to Jesus, right? So let's say I give you the assignment. You have to write a genealogy. You can make it up though, okay? You can make up any names you want. And this is also easier for you because you get to do it in English, which this one was written, the actual genealogy. I don't have my Bible. Jeez, I'm a terrible teacher. The actual genealogy was written in Greek, which, dang it, I'm a mess today. Which is a much more precise language. So you can't get away with some of the things you can. It's very precise. Like even compared to Hebrew. Hebrew is there's a lot of like wordplay and you can get fancy with like word pictures and well, that's not what that really meant. It would have meant this in the context. Versus Greek. So I'm told, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't speak or read Greek or Hebrew. This is just what the commentaries tell me. But I trust them. Yeah, I trust them. It's much more precise language even than English. So now let's say I give you that assignment. So I'm going to try not to use my notes too much, but I am going to refer to this because I'm not memorizing all this. So that is your assignment, right? You're basically creating a genealogy. Here's some rules you have to follow. This genealogy, again, you get to use English and make up names versus the one in Matthew, more precise language, and these are people actually being born. So I would say, significantly harder than the assignment I'm giving you. But in this experiment, in this challenge, what you have to do is you have to make sure the number of words can be divisible by 7 evenly. If you've heard of haptic, why am I struggling today? can't talk, can't, and then versions can't talk. Heptadic structure, that was close, but that wasn't it. It means it's 7. There's a lot of 7s in the Bible, right? So the number of words must be divisible by 7. So you have to do this, right? The number of letters must also be divisible by 7 evenly. Number of vowels and the number of consonants must be divisible by 7. Already you're like, this is impossible. Like, I can't do this. The number of words must begin with a vowel, or that begin with a vowel must be divisible by 7. The number of words that begin with a consonant must be divisible by 7. Some of you are like, we're here to watch you work out. What is all this English stuff? Don't worry, there's some math here in a second. The number of words that occur more than once must be divisible by 7. Again, if you think you can do this, good luck. Like, it's getting harder and harder. The number of words that occur in more than one form must be divisible by 7. The number of words that occur in only one form must be divisible by 7. The number of nouns also have to be divisible by 7. Only 7 words can be not nouns. That wasn't good English on my part. So the number of nouns shall be divisible by 7. Only 7 words shall not be nouns. There we go. That's a better way to say it. Just read my notes. The number of names shall be divisible by 7. Only 7 other kinds of nouns are permitted. Number of male names shall be divisible by 7. And the number of generations shall be divisible by 7. And then like the odds of this, like basically for 2 of the conditions, chances of it, right? Multiples of 7. It's 7 to the power of 2, so 7 times 7, so you have 1 in 49 chances to get 2 of those conditions. For you to do 2 of those conditions that we just did, it jumps up to 7 to the 3rd power, so 7 times 7 times 7, 343. It keeps going up. To get to 9 of them, for 9 of those conditions, it's over 40,000. No, it's more than 40,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8, 8 digits. So if you did that, it's like 40 million, or 40 million, I believe. I'm not good at numbers, sorry. So 7 to 9 chances, that equals, if you had an average of 10 minutes at an attempt, it's like over 3,000 years. So, and it gets crazier because this goes all the way down to like 34 conditions, and it's like numbers that like, I don't know if you can see that, but like I couldn't even do the 9, read the 9 numbers. So it gets pretty crazy. And then you think of, this wasn't just someone making this up. This was the people actually being born. Like, how else could you do that other than like an intelligent creator, like I said, outside of our time, outside of our dimension, who was able to do this. And like, these are like little signatures, right? Like if you draw a picture, I used to draw comics when I was a kid, and you draw a picture and you sign it, right? And used to, you'd sign it in like the bottom right, but then like artists started like, cause people would crop it out and then like sell their stuff. So they started like working their signature into the artwork. And so this is kind of like the same thing. Like, it's like the creator, this person outside of our time and dimension, all throughout the Bible. And there's like a bajillion things, like this is one little thing. And we'll maybe get into some more. There's like this signature all throughout the Bible where it's like any other than an intelligent creator outside of our time and dimension, like any other explanation is so preposterous that at that point, you're basically making a religion out of not believing the Christian religion. Like, and you have more faith and more stretches, mental, logical stretches than someone inside the Christian religion. So it gets interesting as you really dive in and study it. You don't just have, the emotional feelings of that. And it's funny because for so long, I think atheists and, science thinkers, like Christians are called science deniers, but it's like, no, we're not. Well, yeah, a lot are. A lot of it just are stupid, but you don't have to be though. Like, there's so much, like the logic in science, archaeology, like I said, all the things are actually on the side of the Bible. So we just don't ever learn it. And then, yeah, so it gets crazy. So if you're a Christian, all right, actually freaking figure out what you believe. Know how the Bible is written and all this kind of stuff. Like, you're doing a disservice to everyone else, right? Because you're basically an idiot. You're being an idiot. Like, you don't know this stuff. You're just have faith, brother. No, you're being an idiot. Go learn your Bible. And if you're an atheist and you're like, I'm logical and I'm not a science denier and all these things, like, I would encourage you to actually study like some of these things about this kind of stuff, right? And you'd be like, huh, there's a lot of very smart, intelligent people who were studying the Bible to like prove it wrong. And then once they got into it, they're like, yeah, logically, there's a better chance of this actually being accurate. And we're converted off of logic and reason, not off of emotion and faith. So with that, easy bar bicep curls, 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. I have this easy bar. I have not found my clips yet because again, all my weight stuff has been in storage. I believe this is 35 pounds. It might be like 33.5 or so. I can't remember when I bought it. Well, my mom bought it for me. That's what it is. So I think it's 35. We'll say 35. And I have a 15 on either side. So not too super heavy, but I'm not throwing 45 plates. And I only have 15s and 45s. I need to get like a set of 10s so I could then also like throw 10s on there. And I need to get some 5s. So, oh geez, this is not going to be safe. Dang it. I got to find those clips. You guys might watch me do something really stupid here. So, 3 sets, 10. We're doing bicep curls after this. So if this doesn't work, we'll just do more bicep curls. So here we go. This should be real easy because it's not that heavy. I have to go slow so I don't shake these off. So, what did I say, 10 to 12? So, okay, let's start up. Just doing real slow and make it a little bit harder. Squeaky. Oops, lost count. I mean, didn't stop when I went to. So that was 15. It was supposed to be 12. But going real slow, it added a little bit of a challenge, so it was pretty decent. So we'll keep with that. Another logical thing like that. Let's see if you guys left any comments really quick. I'll talk about just one more of those design things. Because like I said, there's so many of them. Okay, I don't see anything. I also don't really. Oh, love you too. Thank you. Hello, from Pennsylvania. And Merry Christmas. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too. Okay. Eventually I'm going to get that like up on the screen so I can see those comments as they come in. I'm not going to ignore. I do want to be interactive and hang out. So with that said, so we're about ready to get into this again. There are things, I don't remember the number because again, I don't have my notes. I'm not looking at my notes, but like if you look at the book of Matthew, there are things that only Matthew wrote about that Mark, Luke, John didn't. And then there's really only 2 conclusions, right? One is, come on, man. One is like, if you really have a lot of faith, not as a Christian, in your random design, you could say it's a coincidence, but that's not very compelling. So what are some other, I'm going to do this set, I'll have you think, what are some other logical conclusions of how Matthew could have written about things that none of the other Gospels wrote about? What are some other ways that could have happened? It's not that hard. It's not a trick question. There's actually a couple, but we'll get into that. So let's do this real quick. Okay. We'll just go with 15 again. That's not a fun sound. 12. And 15. We have one more set. Okay, what'd you come up with? What are some other logical conclusions? Well, one logical conclusion that you probably came up with is these guys could have all gotten together and agreed, hey, I'm going to write about these things. You guys don't write about them, okay? You agree? I'm going to be the only one who writes about these things. I mean, that's logical, but that's not very likely. Like, first off, why? Like, what would be the point? Secondly, another thing you might come up with is, well, it's easy. He went last. If he wrote his gospel last, if Matthew's gospel, the book of Matthew was written last, guys, don't judge me. I'm going to drink some Monster. If he went last, it would be relatively, maybe some work, but relatively easy to write about certain things that the rest didn't. Here's the problem with that. Based on that logic, then Mark also had to go last. And Luke also had to go last. I think John too. Don't quote me on that one. Basically, they all had to go last, if that is the logical reason. So it's actually more likely that, no, this is actually the inspired word of God. And these guys were inspired by the Holy Spirit to write what they wrote. Because they all have distinct, and there's more to it. I'm not doing a great job with this. We're in the middle of a workout, guys. This is kind of, again, if you watch the pilot episode from yesterday, this is supposed to be like, just the two of us are hanging out, we're working out, talking about the Bible, going through it. So I'm not trying to get to like lecture level, every little detail. So I'm leaving out some, background. But anyways, based off that logic, they had to get together and all agree. But then like, what a weird, or two, like they all had to go last. And that's obviously not logically possible. It's more logical at that point that, because that's literally impossible, that it was just designed. There's an intelligent design behind the Bible. So that's just two, like with genealogy with that, there's a lot more all throughout the Bible. We'll get into a lot more of them when we actually do get into the book of Genesis in a couple months. So we'll see. Let's do this last set. Okay, I like starting up just because it helps me get oriented with these and not lose control and drop a weight. Okay, 15. Okay, so we'll count this from 1 now. 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right, done with that. I will at the end stop before I go off. I will stop and I will read through all the comments and respond to all of them as best I can. So feel free to ask questions, challenge anything I'm saying, ask questions, make comments. Let me know you're watching from Pennsylvania and wish me Merry Christmas. Like, I think it was Susie. I'll have to double check. I'll double check Susie. And yeah, we'll go over there. And you don't see me drinking this right now. I'm drinking water. It's vitamin water. That's why it's in a can. Okay. So we're done with that. Okay. Next, dumbbell bicep curls, 3 sets. 10, 12. So we're going to do so I want to do the 25s or the 35s. I think the 35s. We'll do the 35s. We're going to do I don't love doing like that. We're going to do 1 arm at a time. I like it better. You don't have to count a lot more. And then we're slightly shorter today because I had to take some stuff out. I converted most of it because I only have dumbbells. Well, I have that barbell, but I didn't need that. I don't have machines, so I converted most of these and I had to cut one thing, which I normally cut anyways because it's weird with my back. So we're gonna do those and we're gonna do the Arnold curls. So basically, I'll set. It's where we do, 1 arm at a time like that. So let's get going. All right. 35s, second to last set, 3 sets, 10 to 12. Okay, here we go. 7. I'm gonna slow it down a little bit. I always go too fast. I think that's 9, but I've been talking. I can't count and talk. 12. Okay, there we go. 12, I believe that's what I said, right? 10 to 12. Yeah, 10 to 12. Okay. All right, there's one other thing I for sure wanted to talk about that I kind of forgot. This is kind of cool too. Dr. Ivan Panin, Panin, P-A-N-I-N. I'm just going to read this really quick because this is a science guy. It says, the numeric structure of the Bible has been much studied and the subject of numerous volumes in the past, but none are more provocative than the works of Dr. Ivan Panin. So this is written by him. This is written about him by Chuck Missler. Ivan Panin was born in Russia, December 12, 1855. Having participated in plots against the Tsar at an early age, he was exiled after spending some years in study in Germany, came to the United States, and entered Harvard University. After graduating in 1882, he converted from agnosticism to Christianity. So basically from, in a layman's like really general sense, from there's some sort of creator entity, but I don't really know who he is, and you can't really know who he is, to, I believe that intelligent design entity is the God of the Bible. In 1890, he discovered some of the phenomenal mathematical design underlying both the Greek text of the New Testament and the Hebrew text of the Old Testament. He was to devote over 50 years of his life, painstakingly, because he didn't have computers, and exhausting his health, exploring the numerical structure of the scriptures, generating over 43,000 detailed hand-penned pages of analysis. He went on to be with the Lord in his 87th year, October 30th, 1942. So, yeah, a lot of stuff. And there's cool stuff here. I said I was just going to do this too. I won't go into these too much. I'll just give one example. But if you look at the Old and New Testament together as one book, 66 books, but comprise one overall, right? So there's some of these like heptadic structures and stuff that work over the two of them. So like the word hallelujah, for example, is in the Old Testament 24 times, New Testament 4 times, for a total of 28, which is, 7 times 4. Hosanna, 1 time Old Testament, 6 time New Testament, for a total of 7. So like all these words that if you combine the amount of times from the Old and the New Testament. So it gets kind of interesting. Kind of covered some of that. Oh, the designs of the Gospels. We'll get to that in a minute. They each had a different, like, kind of, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, different kind of idea behind what they were doing when they wrote. So we'll get to that in a second. We have 2 more sets of this, though. Okay. So, we did 12. We'll do 12 again. Sorry, a little over for the TikTokers. There's 2. One more. And 12. Okay. For those of you thinking like, 35s aren't that aren't that heavy. Are you that strong? First off, well, no. I mean, yes, compared to the average person. As a bodybuilder, no. I've lost a lot of weight. I've lost 100 pounds. So I've lost some strength in that. I'm probably actually, yeah, now I think about it, I'm probably not as strong, even though I've been working out for 4 years. Ooh, bare strength. Right now, I'd say 6 months ago, I was stronger than I was back when I was 360 pounds. But right now, at 260, I might actually not be as strong as I was back in New York. So, but it's okay. I'm happy with the trade-off. I'm perfectly happy with that trade-off. And I'm going to get that back because I'm going to, my plan is basically right now, I'm cutting. I want to get at least to 255. I'm at 260 right now. I want to get to at least 255, maybe go down to 45, 235. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. I want to get like a flat stomach so I can start working on a six pack. And I know every guy wants a six pack. And then try to just maintain over the summer, get a little bit of size in muscles, but mostly just get really lean, work on body fat percentage, maintain what I have, and get like real lean muscle, kind of like a swimmer's build, which I'm kind of starting to get back a little bit, my swimmer's build from high school. And then like swimmer's build with a little bit extra muscle, because you're pretty lean as a swimmer. And then next winter, I'm going to bulk and I'll go up to like, I don't know. Depends on how low I get. If I get down to like 235, I'll go back up to like, or yeah, like 255. If I stop somewhere in 245, 250, I might go up as high. I don't know. 275 is probably too high. That's 15 pounds heavier than this, but with another 10, 15, maybe 20 pounds of fat gone, and to gain all that back in muscle, I don't think my wife will let me do that. We'll see. Maybe if I do it slowly, she won't notice. Okay, so one more set of this, and we'll talk about the design of the Gospels, and then we'll see if there's anything else I want to talk about for today's intro to Matthew. Oh yeah, but like, I was going to talk about hypertrophy, and you add up enough of these, and your muscles start to get tired. Even though 35 is really light in the beginning, towards the end it starts to get a little bit more. 7. My hands are getting tired. 11. One more. 12. Oh, there we go. Put that one down. This one we're going to use in a second. Oh, geez. I gotta remember I'm not at a gym. Okay, so talking about the design of the Gospels. They were all written by different people, to different people, for different reasons, with different like emphasis. So for example, Matthew was a Jew. What was Mark? He would have been a Jew, but he wasn't writing to the Jews. I don't have that here. Luke was a physician, so he had a different emphasis. And John, well, let me jump to the next thing. So Matthew, as a Jew, writing to Jews, he wrote of Jesus as the Messiah, Mark as a servant, Luke as the Son of Man, which is why Luke's genealogy goes all the way back to Adam, and why Mark, there's no genealogy with Mark, because no one freaking cares about the genealogy of a servant. And then John as the Son Eternal. A lot of people think John doesn't actually have a genealogy, right? But it is. It's there. I'll prove it to you. You're thinking like, no, Mark and John don't have a genealogy. Well, John does. It's just short because of his emphasis. Okay, John 9, John 5, here we go. Okay, John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God, and all things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was. In him was life, and the life, the light of men, the light shine. Okay, so that is the genealogy. In John, you're like, you're cheating. That's not actually genealogy. It is, because his emphasis is Jesus as the Son of God. And then, so, Matthew, because he's a Jew, writing in legal terms to Jews, starts with Abraham. Again, Mark, who cares about the genealogy of a servant. Luke, started Abraham, the bloodline. And then John, eternal, pre-existent. What else do we want to talk about? There's a bunch of stuff in here I'm going to skip because I don't want to talk about it. Oh, there's a really interesting thing. And again, I am not going through all of this as... I'm not going through all this as like a full on, because we're kind of like, again, looking at this as the idea that we're just kind of bros or like hanging out. Like, I'm your pastor and we're hanging out. Hey, pastor, I'll probably say this for the first few episodes, even though I said it in episode 0. It's like, hey, pastor, could you kind of help like disciple me, teach me the Bible? Could we like maybe before work, go to the gym, work out, and then you can kind of disciple me and teach me the Bible a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, sure. We'll start with the book of Matthew and we'll just, jump back and forth between New and Old Testament until we work all the way through the Bible, and we'll just disciple you for, however long it takes, us to get through the Bible. So that's the idea. I'm going to try to keep these consistent at 6 a.m. Can't commit to that yet, but I'm thinking 6 a.m. I'll record them, and then they'll go, this is replacing my old thing, gym vlog. So the next day, so you can watch it live at 6 a.m. or then the next day as like on YouTube and Facebook and that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to go as deep as if I was actually like a Bible teacher teaching this to a class or like on a Sunday. So I'm going to just kind of go over some, things I could go in a lot deeper and give illustrations and examples and dates and references. We're going to this is like, we're just kind of hanging out with the idea that anything that sparks your interest, you want to know more about, you can either ask in the chat, because we're not physically here, right? You can ask in the chat and I can do supplementary, talk about another one, do supplementary videos on it. Or you can go look stuff up yourself. So, and I encourage you guys, if you're like, don't believe me, or you're an atheist or whatever, feel free to like challenge me on this stuff. Like, I'm not going as deep as I could and really proving everything out. So feel free to be like, bullcrap, right? I'm centering like what you would have probably said, right? Like, I'm going to, and actually go and like come back with the rebuttals. That'll be fun. Like a tit for tat type thing where then I have to go and look up and boom, 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 back. That'll be fun. Not really. It'll kind of suck. But as long as we're doing like friends, or as long as you're friendly about it, you're not being a jerk, it'll be fun. We just go back and forth and we can, do, and then it'll be a lot of fun. If you're being like really mean, like I might just block you, because for those of you new on here, like I have bipolar, and like I get that'll upset me too much if you start just like for no reason, just being a jerk. It'll ruin my day, it'll ruin my week. So if you're being like super jerky, like, blah, 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 you can disagree, we can argue back and forth. That'll be a lot of fun, but don't be a bad person, right? Because that's going to bum me out, and then I'm going to block you because I don't want to see your comments. So we can go as, I'll answer as many of your questions. I'll even admit if I'm like, I don't know, man, that's a pretty good point. I don't know. I'll do my best to research it or whatever. Just don't be super mean. You can tell me I'm wrong. You can tell me my logic's bad or my facts are bad, but like, let's just be cool, okay? And for any of you who are, no, I won't go there. I was going to make a long hair joke. I don't have my long hair today. It's wrapped up in my beanie, so I won't make that joke. I'll wait until I have my long hair out to make that joke. Let's do these. And then I have a couple, maybe more things I want to go into. I'm feeling very scattered today, because I've been up all night, so I'm a little scattered. So I apologize for that. Hopefully tomorrow will be a little better. What are these? 3 sets, 8 to 10. I think we can do 10 of these. 3 sets of 10. Here we go. This is low. This bench is low. That's all right. We'll do it. We'll get it. We'll make it work. Nine, 10, let's go 12. 12. We had a pretty long break from that last set to this one, so we'll go for 12. I feel like my angle's off on these, but whatever. It's causing a cramp in my leg. Maybe if I put my leg lower. There we go. And 12. 12, 12. Being scatterbrained, I am having to look at these a little bit more than normal. Oh, that's right. I want to talk about how... So, another fun thing. There is... Okay, any of you Jewish? Or have a Jewish background? So there's an interesting thing in here is... If you actually go through the genealogy... There's a blood curse, right? Is it Jeconiah or Jeconiah? I can't remember. But one of the guys in the genealogy upsets the Lord, brings an idolatry, and as the Bible says, right, his name is blotted out. Just like how you see the tribe of Dan. They're the ones multiple times brought idolatry into Israel, and so they're blotted out a few times in some of the... Anyways, that's a whole nother thing. So if you have to be the Messiah, if he has to be from the bloodline, right? Have to have, you know what I'm trying to say. Sorry, end of a workout. My words are failing. If there's a bloodline curse, meaning now he can't, if Jesus is from this line, there's a bloodline curse. He's cursed. He can't actually be part of it. How then does Jesus have the title, the right to be on the throne? And so Chuck Missler puts it as, he says, like, I can imagine like Satan being like, oh, Jesus done did it. He shot himself in the foot. And Jesus is like, yeah, watch this. Well, if you go back to Genesis, Exodus, what's the book right before? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, and Joshua. Anyways, I think it's Deuteronomy. Yeah, it's Deuteronomy. I recently read it, actually. There are some daughters who are like, whoa, hey, hold up. We don't have... Like our father doesn't have sons. How are we supposed to inherit? Can we have an exception that as daughters, we can inherit our father's land? Otherwise, it's going to just be lost. And Moses is like, I don't know. Let me pray about it. So he prays about it. And God's like, yeah, basically what happens is that there's an exception made. And as long as they marry within the tribe, the son-in-law essentially is like, it's like he's adopted. So he's like an adopted son, right? So by right of law. And so it's as if when the women got married, the dad essentially legally, perspective, adopts the sons. So now they have an inheritance. And then in the book of Joshua, this issue comes up and they're like, hey, go check the records. We get an inheritance. Moses gave us an exception. And, Joshua's like, yep, there it is. Cool, there you go. That, again, back to the intelligent design, foresaw that there was going to be this blood curse, and Jesus, the Messiah, wouldn't have a legal right through the bloodline. So not only is he from the bloodline of David, but then because the curse, it's invalidated, he then also, you go down the legal line of adoption, and you got Joseph basically. So Jesus has it from both sides. He's got it from marriage, blood, and the marriage legal side. So he's kind of like double leaf in that sense, but then that's the way it kind of jumps around the blood curse. Again, how the heck back in Deuteronomy, when Moses is still alive, other than intelligent design, could you get to the fact of like, hey, one day we're going to have a Messiah and there's going to be a blood curse. We're going to also have to have this exemption for this legal. Kind of cool. Okay. And we'll get more into like the actual traditional Bible study tomorrow. Like this is an opening. Every time we get a new book, we'll have a little bit more of introduction stuff. We'll get more into like spiritual application, kind of more Bible study type stuff starting tomorrow. Okay. What do I do? 12 of these? This is set 2 of 3. Slow it down. 12. Nine, 10, 11, 12. There we go. All right. Just double check my notes, see if there's anything else. There's a bunch of stuff in Israel here. I was kind of alluding to some of it with Dan and some other stuff. We're not going to get into that. One thing that's kind of cool, it doesn't really fit here. We won't go on that. So for you, those of you who are going to join me every day, your homework is for next week, or for tomorrow, sorry, the notes say next week, is to read Matthew, well, read Matthew 1 as well, but read Matthew chapter 2. That's what we'll be jumping into tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Magi, and we're going to talk about the Medo-Persian Empire, basically the Parthian Empire, the political background. We're going to focus tomorrow on 3 groups of figures. Herod / Jerusalem, but Herod, King Herod, the wise men, and the rabbis, right? Those are going to be the 3 things we're going to focus on tomorrow. And then Christmas morning, well, I won't have one. We'll take the day off for Christmas. So, but I will still have a podcast. I have a podcast as well where I talk about mostly mental health, talk about my bipolar, talk about fitness, talk about stuff like that. That's called Beneath the Plates. You can go check that out if you're watching live, or if you're watching the actual, video there. I will have an episode of that on Christmas because I'm scheduling this ahead of time. But these I can't schedule these ahead. I could, but so yeah. So tomorrow we'll kind of talk about the Christmas story from a different perspective. Christmas we'll have the day off, and then we'll have to play it by ear as far as like New Year's and stuff like that goes. So, all right, one more of these, and then we're done. One more set. So this is 12. I'm gonna try to go really slow. I get going too fast, and the weight's too light to be thrown around. I gotta really slow down and increase that time under tension. It's a lot harder without throwing it. We'll go for 10 for that last one. So we did 12, 12. This will be 10. 10. All right, there we go. Whew. So that should be it. Okay, one more time. Let's open and close with our quote of the day, since, especially for the live, not everyone will be on for that. So, there's Arnold Schwarzenegger. The day is 24. Let's grab the pink pointer. The day is 24 hours, 6 hours we sleep, so you have left 18 hours. So don't give me this thing, I'm working 12 hours, so I don't have the time to exercise and to work out. Or I don't have time to study another language, and all these kinds of things. 18 hours. So utilize the 18 hours. That's what I've always believed in. I can feel like that's the only way. I feel like that's the only way you can get ahead. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I picked that quote today because we did the Arnold curls at the end, and because I didn't sleep last night. I went to bed about 7:30, 8 o'clock. Woke up at 11:30. I've been awake since then. So I knew this quote, and I wanted this quote because of that. So with that, not going to quite sign off yet. I'm going to read comments. So grab the phone real quick. Whew. All right. That's there's a lot of, okay, see how many of these are comments and how many, okay. Notifying. Okay. A lot of people want to be a guest. I think that's what that means. Okay. A lot of just joined. See, I know there's at least a couple of comments. Well, oh, Brandy was watching. Or maybe she still is. I don't know. Oh, yeah, hey, good morning. Okay, okay. No, it's not. Is it Susie? Anyways. Hello, I just want to stop by from Pennsylvania. Wish you a Merry Christmas. God bless you. I already responded to that one. That might be the only comment. I don't know. There's just a lot of joined. You guys gotta leave comments. We gotta make this interactive. Otherwise, you can just wait till the next day to see it. But yeah, I definitely want to interact. I want to answer questions. Okay, well, that was the other. She left 2 comments. I already read them and responded to them. So, okay, cool. But yeah, like I said, if you have questions, comments, feedback, any of that kind of stuff, rebuttals, whatever, feel free to leave them and I will incorporate them as much as possible. Right now, I only had 2 comments, so it would be really easy to right now. So, love you guys. Have a blessed day. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so I got 2 new followers. Sweet. I had 2 new followers from going live, even with the running off and throwing up. Yeah, that was weird, the throw up thing. That was fun. I think you can see, I think I just needed a reset. Like I was talking fake, it was being weird. I threw up, came back, and I was able to just talk with you guys, do a reset, get back on live, and it was much better. So thank you guys for helping me out. You guys and the podcast listeners for forcing me to do this. Well, the podcast listeners, you guys helping me be here for that. So with that, that's all I got. Let's end the workout. 60 minutes, but I did start that late, so a little over an hour today. But we also are missing one of those. So, yay, I closed my activity ring. Cool. All right, that's all I got. We'll see you tomorrow. And then Thursday, right, today's Tuesday, so we'll see you tomorrow, and then Thursday, we'll have Christmas off. There will be a podcast going live at 6. My plan is to go live with these, if you want to know it's live. Right now, it's just TikTok. To go live with these at 6 a.m., not 100% committed to that, and then post them the next day at 5 a.m. as best I can. Sometimes the editing and getting them uploaded can take longer than I wanted. So live 6 a.m. The next day, edit and post it at 5 a.m. And then the podcast goes out at 6 a.m. Well, I might want to stagger those so the podcast and the live aren't coming out at the same time. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll do the podcast maybe at 6:30. And that's it. I had fun. I don't want to end it today, but I should. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Have a blessed day.